Hello guys, we're gonna be starting in a little bit. I'm gonna put on, okay, that's the alarm, oopsies. I'm gonna put on the usual podcast music. For those of you that are new here, I'll explain what the podcast is in a bit, but we'll be starting soon, so we'll be chilling for a second. Oh, oops, I fucking fucked up. Yeah, we'll be starting soon. Give me a second. Alright, guys, welcome. Alright, it's gonna be, bear with me, it's gonna be a little scuffed for like the first 5 minutes. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I still gotta call him. So, welcome to the podcast, though, guys. How we doing today? Thank you for the raid, Yasukeh. My guest tonight is the mid-Tryndamere god himself. You guys just come over from his stream. It's gonna be a little scuffed. Bear with me. Okay, so, hold on. Alright, hello?
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm setting it up. The stream's gonna be able to hear you for a second, which isn't a big deal, because it's always kind of scuffed in the beginning.
Yeah, no, generally on these kind of podcasts.
Is your Streamlabs up?
We don't actually start right away. We're all good.
Is your Streamlabs still on?
It is not.
I think your video cam isn't picking up.
Oh, okay, yeah, my Streamlabs is still on.
It's okay. All right, hold on. Let's see if I remember how to do this. We do that. All right, let's see. Hold up.
Can you see it now? Yes, you do.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me go to this scene. Okay, and then okay, we do this. Okay, yes. Here we go. I remember now. Okay. Bear with me, chat.
Okay, let me shill this in other places.
Oh shit. Hold on, I gotta switch our faces. Hold on.
I gotta find all of the places to shill this.
Alright, this is fine. Alright. This is actually not as scuffed as last time. So I'm getting better at this. Alright. Is your Twitch the same as your...
So my Twitter is the only one that's Yasubro. Everything else is Yasukeh.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yasubro. Do you have an Instagram? Yes, you do.
Instagram, Yasukeh_.
Yasukeh_. Perfect. There we go. Alright. I just need to fix the chat box and then we can get started. Damn, I did this faster than I did last time. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There we go. Alright. Alright, how's that look, guys? Does that look good to you? I think that looks good. Should be fine. Alright, cool. Alright, guys, welcome to Real Talks with Rio. Poggers, episode motherfucking 3. Let's go. Okay, hold on. Can you guys hear the music in the back? I'm playing very faint music. It's something I wanted to try for this episode. It's very, very faint. So if you can't hear it, honestly, it doesn't matter. But all right, let's give it a go. Anyways, this is a podcast where I bring on other streamers to just talk about some random shit. Sometimes deep shit. Sometimes just have a conversation. You know, we just vibe. We don't really plan it out. We just talk it out. What I do is also, it's kind of a conversation format. Sometimes we'll bring into the chat to talk to you guys. We'll start out with intros. That's probably the only thing we really plan realistically. And then where it goes from there, it goes from there. I was going to have some wine tonight, but unfortunately my mother drank the last glass. I don't know why. She said she would save it for me. So I'm not drinking tonight. Usually we drink. We have a good time. What's up, Siren? But yeah, tonight we have my guest. It's Yasukeh. The Tryndamere god himself. We'll introduce him in a second. Last thing is, like I said, it's we kind of have like a two-way conversation, sometimes monologue. However, we will bring in chat sometimes to talk with us. Don't feel like we're ignoring you, but feel free to chime in chat and actually like join the discussion. But yeah, don't feel like you guys can't talk. Feel free to join in. It will be more of a two-way discussion between us. However, we sometimes will talk to chat, and as long as you guys keep it civil, you're not gonna get banned. The only thing I ask is that you do keep it civil, because this is the internet. With further ado, let's get it started. For those of you who don't know me, I'll just do a quick introduction. Most of you do know me. For those of you from Yasukeh's channel, I am Rio. You can call me Mark, Rio Facer. Whatever works with you. I'm a Yasuo, Yone, League of Legends, ADC streamer. Could probably say that in a better way. And I enjoy making a fool of myself on stream. I also like having serious talks, hence the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it here tonight. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I'm a Florida guy right now. Went to the University of Miami. But I'm not important. What's important here is my guest tonight. We have none other than Yasukeh. Can you introduce yourself for us, my guy?
Hello, I am Yasukeh. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Fucking
so-
amazing. Absolutely incredible.
I'm a high yellow, mid Tryndamere with Phase Rush, a League of Legends streamer. That's generally my main gig. I also do YouTube, all of that kind of stuff. I am a carnivore. I am a really big advocate of doing anything you can to just sort of help yourself succeed in the best way possible, both physically, mentally, spiritually. It's all really kind of the same thing. It all connects with each other. So I'm a big advocate of carnivore diet, no FAP, breathing techniques like Wim Hof, advocate of getting a lot of sleep, really interested in a lot of general topics. I am a black belt in Shotokan, currently training jiu-jitsu every week, starting to do tumbling, gymnastics, become Chase Shako IRL. I'm going to be going to a parkour gym on Tuesday, hopefully. Generally really into the physical aspect of life, but also the mental and intellectual side of things. And my general thoughts on sort of everything in life has changed drastically over time because I'm always willing to look for things that would contradict what my beliefs are. And I'm very willing to change things, and I'm open to a lot of things. So I generally don't necessarily have many opinions that sort of go along with things. I've generally had a pretty bad childhood. I moved around every year, 2 years, 3 years. So I've generally been pretty isolated as a child, somewhat. And so I feel like I have a lot of unique perspectives on a lot of things, and a lot of things that I can sort of offer to this podcast and this community. So hello, that is me.
Wow, okay, I learned a lot in that intro too. All right, give me a second. I'm actually going to see, this light is brighter than normal, but damn, that was a good one.
Yeah,
All right,
you're
hold
good.
on, 1 second. All right, yeah, okay, that's better. This should be good lighting.
All right, I turned my light on.
All right, cool. This should be better lighting, yeah, because that was kind of bothering me. That was like really, really bright. All right.
Yeah, you're good, you're good.
Damn, I learned a lot in that. Damn, you didn't tell me half that shit when we had our conversation last time.
There's too much to go over
Dude,
in
there
a
is
3-hour
a lot.
conversation.
Holy shit, that is a lot. I mean, there's a couple things I know I would like to. Okay, let's just talk about the most obvious one that I do want to talk to, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into that, into where I want to go from there. All right, tell me about the carnivore diet, man. This is like the Yasukeh thing, the carnivore diet. Like, does it make the posture? Did it come with it? Like, does the posture come with eating meat, or did the posture come first?
Yeah, so first of all, the diet definitely came first, and then it was the posture. But so I generally kind of felt very low energy, like depressed, like basically the kind of stuff that everybody is sort of going through these days. And I saw a podcast with Dr. Sean Baker on the Joe Rogan Experience. And he's just a carnivore diet advocate. And so I saw a lot of other examples of people doing really well on it. So I looked more into it, saw more examples, saw more arguments for why it might be something that's really good for people. And so after a certain point, I was willing to try it. And as soon as I tried it, I just felt really, really good results, both mentally and physically. Mm-hmm. I used to have a lot of brain fog where I would eat and then just kind of be really, really slow.
It's not like a carbohydrate, like fucking you're tired slow. It's just like it was like mentally, it just wasn't all there.
Yeah, just in general with everything, where I used to be able to only do 4-hour streams at a time. Uh-huh. And then I would have to take a break, and then I'd do another 4-hour stream, like a lot of other streamers kind of do. But now I can do 12 hours easily with keeping my full mental pretty much just the entire time. I feel better mentally, physically. I had a lot of joint pain, and that has pretty much just all gone away. I think better, I'm stronger, I'm leaner. My recovery time is a lot shorter, so I'm able to get more work in. I'm better at League. Just everything is sort of better. And it just, generally, the carnivore diet is really just an example of something that falls in line with everything else philosophically, in the sense of it's sort of a return to nature. It's all about simplicity and what makes sense for what naturally the human diet would be. It generally seems like what kind of made us into humans was our ability to start eating meat, cooking it with fire, all of that kind of stuff.
Fire.
And yes, me fire, me cook.
Me cook.
Me,
Me spin.
me right arm big, me left arm small.
No, that's awesome, dude.
Yes.
I have actually noticed I mean, like, okay, so I have a carnivore diet, and I don't know if this would count, but like, at least in my experience, because I'm Italian, and my mother's a professional chef, and she fucking cooks the best meals. But sometimes I go into carbohydrate overload, and it's just like too much, and I get tired, and I just want to end my stream. But recently, we've been eating a lot more meat, and I legitimately feel like it's not even, I'm like not even doing a full carnivore diet, but there's been days where like all I had was meat. And like those days I don't feel like I'm overly hungry or I'm overly full, but I feel like I'm just like, I can function more and I can go longer. It's weird. But I've enjoyed it. Yeah, I've enjoyed it to like when I'd rather just like stuffed my face with carbs or something else, you know?
Yeah, like whenever I have eaten carbs, ever since I've started, I have much more intense hunger pains. And then I also start having cravings for a lot of different foods. Like I really, really start craving pizza, just as an example.
Everyone always craves pizza, I swear. It's always
yeah, where it's like, when I'm hungry on a carnivore-ish diet, it doesn't hurt. I have no pain. It's just something that I acknowledge exists, and then I'll get foods at some point. Whereas when I'm eating when I've had a little bit of carbs, when I'm hungry, I start actually having like pain in my stomach, and it's very, very uncomfortable. Whereas I can kind of deal with hunger without it. And generally, just whenever I eat more meat, I just feel more like whole.
Yeah.
Like I feel like more of a human being, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense to me. Honestly, it's like something, it's so weird because like I obviously talked to you about like doing this podcast last week, and I know you were all about the carnivore diet, but like literally this week we started eating more meat. I'm like, you know, maybe this thing kind of works.
It all comes together. I don't necessarily think everybody needs to go full carnivore.
Yeah.
But I do think everybody needs to eat more meat.
I love meat. I can never give it up. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, no offense to like the vegetarians out there. You mean you do you if you like you love.
Full offense.
Okay.
Full offense.
Only on his side. I'm trying to be, you know, peace, love, unity, respect to everybody here. No offense to them from me. Offense from Yasukeh. I don't know how you people fucking do it. If I see a nice piece of Wagyu steak, I'm gonna fucking eat that. You know.
I understand the sort of reason why vegans and vegetarians are that way. I understand the ethical vegans, people who do it because they don't like hurting animals. That's understandable. But the issue is when I see people trying to do it for health reasons, when that's just it just doesn't work. It's not there. Whereas like you may be a little bit better than a standard American diet eating nothing but soda, but your benefits are from taking out all the soda and sugar, not eating the like broccoli and kale, you know?
Yeah. I actually, the only thing that's really worked, like, I'm not going to say like, I'm not super healthy, but like the one thing that's worked for me, for my diet, especially like at least in your 20s when you can like handle more shit. Like if you're someone like for chat, if you guys are someone young, let's say, the biggest thing for me was just cutting sugar out of my diet. Like, I love eating carbs, so like I'll probably never stop eating carbs. I'm Italian, like lots of fucking pasta and you know all that stuff. But I don't know if you can attest to this, Yasukeh, but when I cut out sugar, I noticed that was like a big change in just like my weight and like metabolism and just like, overall like how I felt.
Oh yeah, it's really just you are what you eat, and if you're eating shitty food, you will become shitty.
Yeah.
Like you'll just feel like shit.
I'm slowly becoming a
pasta
noodle.
Yeah, you're becoming a pasta. You're becoming a carb, or you could become a 1,000-pound animal in the form of a cow with a steak. Yeah, the sort of energy difference is just massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really kind of have things that actually properly nourish your body, so it's really easy to have more energy to do things that you want, and less time thinking about food and being hungry and being tired. And it really just changes a lot of people's lives to a pretty significant degree. And I'm actually taking part in a Harvard study on the carnivore diet, which is
Harvard.
looking into
Wow.
it's looking to people who are 6-month plus carnivore.
Yeah.
And looking at things, and then doing Harvard studies with that. There's actually a clinical trial going on the carnivore diet, which is currently in the funding stage. So that would be a really good thing, because the only real criticism that there is against the carnivore diet is, where is the science on specifically the carnivore diet?
And that's kind of where they're attacking.
It does exist, but people just kind of ignore it. So having a full clinical trial, like perfectly valid science with taking people who are sick and putting them on the carnivore diet, which there's been thousands of examples of people doing really well on that. So having an actual scientific study on that would be very beneficial, and looking forward to seeing the results of that.
Damn. Okay, that's insane. Yo, let me know how that goes. I actually love to hear. That's cool that you're a part of that. I know I know you said, so this is actually really, I love to tie it into this. So I know you said that you like doing the carnivore diet because it feels more natural to you in terms of like your, I guess, ethics too, in terms of like Mother Nature and shit. Excuse my language. I remember when we talked before, does that include like, okay, so like you said you were like raised in a Buddhist household, right? Does like, or not a household?
I am currently living in one.
Currently,
yes.
okay. Sorry, excuse me.
Yes, for the past about year or so.
Oh, so it's actually new.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Does that have anything to do like I mean, I honestly, maybe this doesn't even have to do anything with the carnivore diet. I'm actually just interested in this because I remember you told me about this. How is that like living in like a Buddhist household?
No. So
what does that even mean?
So
sorry.
When I was 16, I moved out with my brother and a couple of other roommates, and about a year ago, a year ago, we all were kind of at different points in our lives, and we had to split up and go separate ways. I wasn't necessarily ready to move out on my own, so I moved into my old roommate's childhood home, which includes a Buddhist Asian mom. And living in a Buddhist household is pretty interesting. Really, it's interesting seeing different perspectives on things, with especially the kind of thoughts and alleys that I've been going down recently. Seeing how similar a lot of Buddhist thoughts are to other ways of thinking is really interesting. Because there's a general concept of it's kind of called mysticism, in the sense of it's the idea that there is a solid truth in the universe, and all religions and philosophies are just sort of explanations of that truth. It's just revealing the truth that existed the entire time, which is why you see so many different religions and philosophies sort of think about the same things and have the same ideas, even though they came from different places. A great example that I sort of come up with this is Jocko Willink. He's a ex-Navy SEAL commander. He has his own podcast.
Oh yeah,
he's a very he's a very sort of kind of stoic guy, and he was asked if he followed Stoicism. Stoicism is basically a concept largely comes from people like Marcus Aurelius, who's just a Roman king who was also a philosopher.
Emperor, if you will.
Yes, wrote books, wrote Meditations, which is largely a book on sort of the philosophy of Stoicism. And he said that he didn't follow it, but he's somebody who, if you think of somebody who is Stoic, somebody who follows Stoicism, you would think Jocko Willink. And he never actually read it, but he came to the truths of the fact that you should be Stoic through other experiences in his life. So it wasn't necessarily something that he needed to read other books about, because it was a truth that existed in the universe from the start, that it just needed to be revealed to him, whether that comes from life experience or from reading a 2,000-year-old book.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Okay. So, has it made you yourself Buddhist at all, or what would you? So I like that way you put it, because it's like, I mean, I personally believe in that kind of sense of when you quoted fuck, I'm forgetting the name, but basically when you quoted the guy, the Navy SEAL, who said it's kind of like you're not learning anything new, you're just stumbling upon truths that you deep down already knew. It's just life experience kind of like reinforces it. Personally, I love Eckhart Tolle. I think I've talked to you about him. He's the kind of guy that I listen to. He came out with the book The Power of Now. For anybody wondering, I did a book club on The Power of Now. You can go check that out in the VODs, also on YouTube. This will also be on YouTube, guys. If anyone's wondering, or if you missed anything, this VOD will go on my YouTube channel for everybody to see forever. But yeah, like, I totally love the idea of like what Eckhart Tolle talks about is just like the power of now and living. It's like the living in the moment, but like understanding what the moment is right now, and that time is like a concept of illusion. And that anything that ever will be is like the now, and people get too caught up in the past or present when they don't understand that when it happened, it was now, you know? It's kind of like one of those concepts.
Yeah.
And he talks about religion so much in that book, and he points these things out. And this is my big thing with religion. Maybe we could like branch off into this conversation. I get your thoughts on this. It's like religion, I feel like, talks about, every single religion talks about the right things at some point in their texts. But we focus so heavily on like the things that I think don't matter. And like one of the things that Eckhart Tolle did was like he quotes the book so many times, like quotes the Bible, quotes the Torah, quotes literally everything, and just he's like, yo, like this passage right here, this is what they were talking about, and this is what it represents, and nobody talks about this. This is like the irrelevant part of the religious text, but like this is the important shit that nobody talks about. And like, yeah, I mean, that's personally how I see religion. I mean, I guess I want to get your thoughts and like kind of branch it into that religious talk, because I know we've talked about this before in the past.
Yeah, for sure. So a good way to look at this is, obviously society in general in the past 50 or so years has become much more irreligious. And I used to be very sort of anti-theistic, browsing r/atheism, following people like Richard Dawkins.
Let's be honest. Everybody, I feel like, has had a mini atheist phase. I had a mini atheist phase. Like, you're fucking edgy as shit, and you're like, nah, Jesus was a fucking psychopath or some shit, and you're like, nah, there's no God. Yeah. Everyone's had that phase.
Whereas, like, I see a lot of those sort of people, and they only ever really seem to talk about or discuss people who are the sort of fundamentalist religious people, the people who take everything in the Bible or the Quran literally to its point. Whereas there's so much in sort of religious thought and theology in general that is very interesting, and asking these questions that people like Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins don't even begin to entertain.
Yeah.
And they don't have any criticisms for actual religious thinkers. They just, they would basically just kind of debate people who are like the Westboro Baptist Church kind of people.
And they would only focus on things that would reassure their own beliefs, right?
Yeah, which is like, it's arguing with the weakest people of the philosophy. Whereas if you're trying to break something down, you should be arguing with the strongest people. Whereas you look at a lot of people who are super anti-religious, and they'll take any type of argument from a religious person and then just kind of throw it away. Whereas you see, say if there's a Christian philosopher arguing with a dharmic philosopher, like Indian religion, they will have points and arguments, and they'll take them seriously. Like, they'll actually argue with them and try to come to understandings to them, and really kind of see where the disagreement is and see if there's any way to get past that. Whereas I never really saw that within hardcore atheist communities, which like if somebody's not really attacking the actual arguments that somebody's putting forth, it leads me to believe that there's probably some validity to some of these arguments. Giving a league example is
yes.
LS.
Here we go.
Yeah, a league example to bring this all in.
By the way, before we go to the example real quick, guys, I will state that I know this could get a little touchy kind of subject, and this is by no means a damper to anybody who actually does study any type of religion. We're just kind of take this as two guys who are just experiencing life, and we're talking about our subjective experiences. Whatever works for you works for you. Please don't take this as like whatever we say here is law. We're just here to talk about stuff, and that's it. I just want to like put that out there just real quick. All right, all you.
Yeah. So my thoughts on everything have changed 3 times pretty drastically within the past 6 months to a year. And who knows, maybe in 3-4 months, everything that I'm saying now is stuff that I'll disagree with. It probably will be. But going back to the point is looking at LS, when he tries to advocate for taking Leandries over Morellos in specific situations. There was a video that came out by Mark Z, which didn't actually address the core of the argument, because he was arguing sort of completed item versus completed item, whereas LS advocates for taking the Oblivion Orb, which is part of the Morello Nomicon, which has the magic pen, which people want, and then going into Leandries. So he never really, Mark Z, when he made his video, never actually addressed the real point that LS was making, which would give credibility to LS's argument, because nobody is actually attacking what his argument is. If you need to change what somebody's argument is, it's probably because you don't have an actual defense against it.
No, I know what you mean by that. Yeah, I remember watching those videos, and it was interesting. I love how, I mean, LS got so upset over it too, even though like a lot of people were on his side. It is what it is, but I'll let you respond real quick if you would like to. Okay.
No, yeah, you can.
No, you're good. So what is your whole take on religion, religious spirituality, whatever you want to call it? What do you identify with anything? Like, I mean, like for example, I know I went through a huge little mini atheism phase in high school, and I actually went to a Catholic high school. And I can't believe I was like atheist at one point, to be honest. And like my mom used to have like or she still has like this person that she calls like her shaman. And I used to think it was bullshit, but honestly, it's like after I talked to the guy and after I've realized like what I've learned, it's like it just gives a new form to the word spirituality and whatever that means to you. Like I've been so modernized on the word. I used to think like people that were spiritual were so stupid and all these things, and I was very like closed off, never wanted to learn anything about it. And I've learned so much about like what spirituality can actually mean and how it can tie into religion. And I'm like I love actually now having these talks, which is so funny because the old me like fucking wouldn't even bat an eye in this direction. So personally, I don't like identify with like a religion, but I would say I'm like spiritual, you know? So I'm wondering like what your kind of thoughts and background are on it, if you don't mind sharing, of course.
Okay, yeah. So my parents were like kind of religious, but never really went to church or anything, or never really kind of pushed anything on me.
Sunday church fucking sucked, by the way. Oh my god.
Yeah. I generally came from a pretty sort of materialistic thinking background, in the sense of I was always an advocate for determinism and the free will versus determinism argument, because if you I can't really square up free will in a purely materialistic world, in the sense of if you know all of the energy of every single particle in the universe, you should be able to predict the future for the entire universe. Because if there's no other outside influences in the universe, then if I drop this knife, then it will fall. It will always do that. Like because of the laws and energy and all of this stuff. So I came at everything from a purely materialistic, sort of rational point of view. And the first thing that really made me think that there was something else was the concept of DMT, And there's this really interesting thing with DMT, which is the most powerful psychedelic in the world, where two people who have no interaction or communication with each other will be on a DMT trip, and they will see the same sort of being.
I've heard of this as well.
Say the exact. Yeah. They'll see the exact same sort of being saying the exact same things, and they'll report the same experiences when they had no communication with each other when they're both on the DMT trip. And that's something that can't necessarily exist in a materialistic world. And more sort of going on, like an example with a carnivore diet, it's really just kind of returning to nature. With 99% of religions, or 99% of societies in all of human existence have been religious. There's probably some kind of reason behind that, and it's not necessarily that we're smarter. If you look throughout history, when societies become irreligious, they collapse and fall. Like, there's never really been a society that has been irreligious, like completely atheistic and secular,
completely free of it,
and has lasted more than like 2 generations. Whereas I don't necessarily think people before were dumber. Like, there's probably some kind of reason behind that. And if you look at religion from a purely secular point of view, it makes sense to follow it, in the sense of, if you look at it from an evolutionary point of view, religious people have more kids, they're less likely to commit crime, they're more bonded as families, they're more likely to live, basically. Atheists are also much more likely to commit suicide, by the way. That's one thing.
Is that a real stat?
So religious people, religion has an evolutionary sort of tool behind it. Because if you follow a principle in evolutionary psychology, is that nothing lasts that isn't useful. If something lasts for 200 years, there's probably some utility behind it. And it's not necessarily just that, well, they believe in religion because they're evil or bad or anything.
Okay.
Whereas in general, you see a pretty big lack of meaning in people today, where a lot of people's lives are, they kind of derive their value from their material possessions and the material wealth, whereas a lot of religious thought is about sort of rejecting the material and trying to find a sort of higher truth. If you look at something like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's like 6 needs, like shelter, material,
we had talked about that,
community, something else, and then self-actualization. You look at societies like 200 years ago, they basically had all of that covered, whereas now we have a lot of material and we have a lot of safety. This is the safest time in the world to live in, but nobody has any community. Like, everybody is alone. Everybody's like super asocial.
And we got a pandemic.
Yeah, and that's just making it worse, right? Like, people have a lot of things, but they don't have any real community, and we are social human beings. So many people live in cities and don't know their next door neighbor. The person who lives like 10 feet away from them in a wall, they have no idea who they are. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And kind of having that disconnection from your community really sort of makes a lot of people unhappy.
Dude, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, how, like, your next door neighbor, you don't even, some people don't even know them. Like, personally, I'm too social for my own good, so like I always knew my neighbors. But I remember there's like people on our block that just didn't want to socialize with anyone. They just didn't. They just didn't want to. And it's kind of crazy how like if you think about it, like, you live next to these people for like sometimes decades at a time, and you just never know anything about them. You know?
Yeah. Whereas there's a good argument that I heard is that CrossFit is the new church. Whereas church used to be the sort of place where people had community and got community from.
Yeah.
Where you would have a strong sort of safety net that if you were down on your luck, they would help you, and there was a sort of real feeling of safety and security. Whereas that's something that people would get from something like CrossFit nowadays. You go to a CrossFit gym and you have that sort of same kind of community feeling. Whereas if you're, you have to find these, you have to find the utility that you would get from the church community somewhere else because people don't have the church. It's not that the church is necessarily 100% required in that sense for a community.
It just was.
But
It was
the
just what
issue is
people
that-
used. Like it was the most common.
Yeah, the issue is that what happens when you don't replace that with anything?
Yeah.
Then people become sort of atomized and individuals where they don't really have any sort of collective self-worth. If that makes any sense.
No, that makes total sense. I mean, it makes more sense, I guess, even this year, just because of like the whole pandemic and everything going on. You know.
Yeah.
This is like
this really
year,
just sort of
this year's been fucking nuts.
exaggerates everything.
Yeah, literally just exaggerates everything. I mean, I don't think it's kind of crazy to think like the world will never be the same after like 2020. We're gonna look back and we're gonna look at this year and we'll be like, yo, what the fuck happened?
This is like the new sort of 9/11.
Yeah.
Where the world just completely changed after 9/11.
Remember?
Like there's a lot of aspects to go into that.
Dude, like I remember my dad used to tell me, he's like, yeah, like before 9/11, like you should just be able to park, go through the airport, watch the airplanes land, pick somebody up. Like you didn't have to go through fucking security. Like that wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Where,
you know?
You see like fucking, like say 90s TV shows like say Friends or something.
Friends.
And they're just kind of running through the terminal.
Boomers.
And they're at the flight gate without buying a ticket or anything.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Whereas now you'd spend an hour going through security.
Make sure to get to the airport 2 hours early. Like that's normal because, you know, security might be long. Oh my God. Dude, like, it's like the craziest thing that's happened to me this year was, I saw a tweet and it's like the phrase, oh shit, my mask, quote unquote, has now become a thing. Like, oh no, I left my mask at home. I gotta go, like, or like, you left the door. Gotta go get my mask. And I live in Florida, to give you an example. So, like, this shit is bad here. Like, Floridians, nobody gives a fuck down here. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I walk outside. I barely leave my apartment. But when I do leave, because I just stream all day. When I do fucking leave, I'm like, it doesn't even look like there's a pandemic going on here. And there is. Like some people, like, I'd say maybe 30% of the people wear masks. If everyone's outside, nobody's wearing masks. Things are just getting back to normal at this point, but I feel like at this point we just have to face the reality that it's what we're living in, you know?
Yeah. Like in Arizona, there was a time until they had mandated masks, and pretty much everybody kind of wore them at the start when everything sort of went to shit, when the NBA kind of quit. Everybody was really scared of it then, but after a couple of weeks, people just stopped wearing masks. Nobody really cared until there was a mandate put in to where you just can't go inside places without it. And even then, people still don't really care in Arizona here.
That was one of the things I actually loved about when I visited Asia, when I went to Japan. Like, they truly are like a collective society, even though, like, in, like, you know, obviously behind closed doors, they maybe say something different because they're all humans at the end of the day. But, like, in public, it's like you have to, like, think about, like, they're just raised differently. And it's like that whole idea of like I've loved the whole idea of individuality and what it's done for countries like America and like I guess like people and just like being like for me, I'm like a very individualistic person. I'm currently chasing my dreams, you know, with the whole Twitch thing. Like my parents support me. It's starting to work out now, blah blah blah. But like if I had been raised somewhere else, I definitely wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. The mindset of like what my household would have been like is just different. But I've also seen like the the massive fucking benefits now of like just being in a collective society. And it's like, why can't like I just can't wait for the truly like perfect, I'm gonna say it because I know it probably won't happen, but I'm gonna say it. This is my opinion of a perfect city or a perfect country. Is like the perfect society that is like takes the aspects of like individuality and like collectivism and like brings them together. And like I feel like that is like where we want to be in the world, is like that is society. Like America's way too individualistic, and I feel like Asian countries are definitely a little too collectivist. And like that, this is strictly my opinion, but I would love to see like the world advance into a way, like an era of okay, maybe we just take the best of both worlds and we just bring them together. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard, obviously.
So there's this one phrase that kind of goes about how, a little bit closer to how I think about it, is that the phrase goes like this. With regards to my family, I am a communist. With regards to my neighborhood, I'm a socialist. With regards to my city, I'm a Democrat. With regards to my state, I'm a Republican. With regards to my nation, I'm a libertarian.
I've actually never heard of this.
Yeah, the sort of idea behind that is that collectivism works when everybody who you are in a collective area with are like you. Like, you obviously care about somebody who's in your family more than you care about somebody in Russia. Like some random kid in Russia, you don't really care about
Russia.
Whereas if you had to choose life or death between that kid from Russia,
we ain't getting into that. No. But yes, I know what you're going with that. No, don't say. Just use a very easier example than life and death. Because that's going on a whole nother fucking topic of like, well, would you kill one person for $1 million? Like, oh shit.
No. So basically, is that like, the issue with some collectivism is then when you get into levels where you don't know the people that you're sort of helping. Whereas, an example, California people pay for the farming subsidies in the Midwest. Whereas California people generally hate people in the Midwest. Like, that's generally a thing. They have completely differing ideals. And when California has to pay for the farmers in the Midwest, like, they really don't like that. And so there's sort of an issue with collectivism when it's with people who you don't really feel like are in your community. Like, if you understand how human society existed when we're in monkey, when we're back in monkey, was people had tribes of at most 100 people. Whereas the amount of people that you can know, like, on an actual level it's less than 1,000.
Isn't there like a number between like, I think it's like 150 and 300, and like that's the max number of people like you can constantly draw memory from or something? They did like a study on it. It's like a rough estimate.
That sounds much more right. I didn't know what it was off the top of my head.
I remember, I had this conversation with somebody like a week or two ago. That's the only reason the number. They said it was like 150 to 300, roughly, some fucking estimate, which kind of makes sense. Like, thinking about my own experience, you know?
Yeah. Whereas, like, having sort of collectivism on that level makes perfect sense because it's sort of people that you care about and you know, and you're kind of helping them. Whereas when it's people that you don't care about, there's kind of a feeling of disconnect.
Yeah.
Where the thoughts that sort of get into that are when you try to defy human nature. Like, humans are inherently tribal and like people that are like them, in the sense of people who have their same sort of ideals and people who they know. Whereas if you try to have the idea that you should treat every single person equally, like you should treat your family member as equal as that kid in Russia, that's where things sort of go against human nature and things sort of start breaking down. Because California person doesn't like subsidizing the farmer.
Yeah.
And the farmer wouldn't like subsidizing the California person. They hate each other. They don't like each other.
And they've never even met.
Yeah, they've never even met and they still hate each other.
They don't even know their neighbors.
Well, the California people don't know their neighbors. Midwest people know their neighbors.
Actually, that's true. They probably would know their neighbors. Do you know your neighbors?
Yeah. No. But also,
there you go. There you go. Exposed.
I have bars on my windows.
Okay.
And there's probably a reason for that.
Oh my god.
Yep. I'm locked in.
I love how you fucking show bars on your window. Oh
yeah. So, not necessarily neighborhood where I exactly fit in, but then again, that neighborhood doesn't really exist. My sort of ideal in life is to create my own community, create my own place that's like sort of creating my own community where I know everybody within like 15 feet from me, or 15 miles from me, where there's no real strangers and everybody who is around me are people that share my same ideals and same goals. And kind of going back to something that we don't really have in today's society.
All right, I apologize for this. Ooh woo. All right, nobody redeem that shit while we're doing the fucking podcast. I don't want to be a scammer, but I should have turned that off.
Yeah, you're good.
Damn, that's insane. Holy shit. I actually really liked where that went. That was good. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything? Okay, let me ask you. Because I've been asking questions. Is there anything that you specifically want to talk about? Go in depth a little bit. Pick your brain at. Pick my brain at. Also, I also before we go into that, I just want to say thank you, because when I learned about when you told me your story about your name, I actually think that's so fucking cool, that story. I actually went on YouTube and like researched an entire oh whoa, only for you, Cake. I researched an entire video on the backstory and the legend of your name, and dude, I think it's so fucking sick. Cause like my story behind my name is fucking stupid as shit. And you have this whole backstory, and I'm like, wow, this is so insane.
Is your name Rio and you facer people?
I wish. That's better than the one I got. Literally, I lived in a development called Rio Vista, and when I first played my first online game, I named myself Rio King, because I'm like this edgy teenager who's like, I'm the king of Rio Vista, my community, the people I knew in my community. And then I tried making another character. I think it was WoW, actually, and I forgot that I already made a character with the name. And when I tried to make another new character, I was like, what? Everyone knew me as Rio, but I need, like, Rio's taken, because it's a very common name. What do I put here? And someone said, just put Facer, and I said, fuck it. Facer it is. And ever since then, for, like, the last decade, I've just made myself Rio Facer in every game, and it makes no sense. You, on the other hand, you want to tell your backstory to everybody? Because I think it's sick.
Yeah, for sure. So, my name is Yasukeh.
More like,
Yasukeh.
You suck, eh? I thought that, okay, I had to throw that. Got him! Okay, go on.
Got him. So, Yasukeh was an African slave who escaped a Portuguese slave ship and became the first Gaijin foreign samurai in feudal Japan, and the only black samurai in feudal Japan.
His story is
the
sick,
idea
too.
behind
Yeah. Check it out on YouTube.
The idea behind the name is making something of yourself in a place where you don't belong. Yasukeh didn't belong in feudal Japan, but he still made something of himself. I don't feel like I necessarily belong on Twitch. People like me generally don't kind of do this thing. And people of my personality don't really fit in on this platform. I don't really feel like I belong. But I am determined to make something of myself in a place where I don't belong, just like Yasukeh did.
Boom. Imagine that. Imagine having a fucking story like this behind your name, and then you got Rio Facer. Oh, Rio Facer. Oh, there's no story. I don't know. I literally watched I watched like a 15-minute video on the whole, like 20-minute video on the Yasukeh story, and this dude is badass as fuck. And like the legends, and obviously it's all legends and myths, but like, and I'm sure there's some validity to it. But I thought it was one of those YouTube binge videos that you find at like 2 in the morning, and I was like, yo, this is cool. And I only looked it up because I think I looked it up after the first budget rivals when we had met. This is like months ago, obviously. I looked it up after that, and I was like, yo, this is kind of fucking cool. But yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I just wanted to throw that in there. Do you have like, so do you have any, so you're a Tryndamere player, obviously. Do you have any affinity towards like the samurai culture? Like, okay, I like Yasuo, for example. I like anything that's melee. I like anything that's like sword play. In my lifetime, I would love to study like some type of sword fighting. Ideally, if I can go to Japan and teach English there, like for a year, I'd probably join like one of those. I forgot. Do you know I don't know the term of it. I always forget the term of like actually like the study of sword play over there. It's some Japanese term, but personally, like that's like my backstory is like I'm really interested in it. I'm wondering if like you actually have interest in that, you know?
I mean, I do have a black belt in Shotokan, which is a more sort of traditional Japanese martial art. It has a lot of useful things out of it. Like there are some people like Ryota Machida and Wonder Boy who their primary style is Shotokan. That was one of the martial arts that I trained really heavily. I also trained jiu-jitsu, judo, and Muay Thai hard. And I'm currently training Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Want to get into a full MMA class just because the reason I'm not continuing anymore with Shotokan is that I felt like I had gotten most of what I could get out of it. There is just the reality that traditional martial arts don't necessarily have as much value in application, whereas like a lot of I had met one of my former sort of peers at Fry's, which is a grocery store, and they were still taking martial arts class in the same place that I were, and they had said that my sort of sensei said that I was his best student, and I really just don't like that. The idea that there's a good phrase is that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, I love that phrase.
Yeah. Whereas I just generally learn things really fast. I pick up on things quick. I'm pretty physically adept. Whereas I feel like I would thrive better in places with more of a challenge. And I was able to get that with some people. And I primarily trained jiu-jitsu with somebody who was twice my weight. So that was a pretty good thing. But there is a lot of value in sort of traditional martial arts. But at this point, my goal would be getting into practical applications of fighting and then also learn philosophy. Whereas traditional martial arts is kind of trying to be both, but like the whole thing with Jocko Willink is that learning jiu-jitsu and learning something that's hard and you have to go as hard as you can with will reveal many truths to you naturally. And you will learn a lot of philosophy just by training. Because if you try to go contradictory to the sort of truth of the world, then you're not going to get far at all. Like, as an example, if you don't train consistently, then you're not going to get better. That's just a reality. That's the truth. There isn't anything to sort of go about that. It's the same thing with League. It's the same thing with getting over it. It's the same thing with jiu-jitsu.
You're kind of nuts at that game,
dance,
by the
music,
way.
anything. What's up?
You're kind of nuts at that game, by the way. I watched you play right before
Dude,
the show.
I just got my...
I don't understand how you do that.
I am almost top 500 in the world. I'm like 506.
I don't understand, bro. By the way, guys, if you don't care about League, this dude also has almost top 500 in Getting Over It. If you don't know what Getting Over It is, it's probably the most frustrating game in the world to play, and Yasukeh enjoys it for some reason. But yeah, that's actually insane. That's one of the reasons I've always wanted to actually study a martial arts, so I did karate when I was younger, but I feel like it was kind of like this. Now that I look back at it, I feel like it fueled my ego. Like my inner ego that I had, because like I've always like really taken pride in like how fast I was, and I realized how fast I wasn't. Like I'm fast. Like I was definitely fast, especially when I trained. I was definitely a fast person. I was a sprinter. I mean, I ran like a 23.5 in the 200 indoors without stilts, which is pretty good. But like when I joined track, I realized I was not as fast as I used to give my credit for. Like there are so many.
I had a 5:26 mile.
That's pretty good. My best is like 6:15. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate long distance, but when I joined track, it really showed me how much like, okay, there are so many people out there that are so much faster than you. But like when I was in karate, let's say, they gave me, it was obviously when I was a kid. I was given the nickname Sonic, like Sonic the Hedgehog, because I was like this fucking fast little kid with a ball of, and I was like, I'm a ball of energy. So I just, how did I use it? I fucking ran everywhere. And I feel like it fueled my ego, because like I was like, yeah, I'm the fast guy. And then when I really put myself like in a situation where like it came down to like, okay, like I think my ego got put in its place finally when I joined track, because I was like, wow, I'm not nearly as good as I thought I was. And I think that was always because I just like, I thought I was just the best in karate when I really wasn't. Also, I feel like the place I went to learn karate was Tiger Schulman. Everyone knows Tiger Schulman, like the I don't know. I think it's a pretty big brand, and I think they have a lot of.
Was it what you would refer to as a McDojo?
Yeah, I think it was a McDojo. Yes.
Yeah.
not like a real one. I did learn a lot there, but I think it was definitely a McDojo. And
Yeah, a lot of those kind of places, like they'll be on their website and advertising, they'll be like, "We'll teach your kid how to be confident," and their way of doing that is telling the kid to be confident. Whereas something like jujitsu shows the kid how to be confident.
and you'll probably
Because
get
your
your ass kicked and go to your
Yeah,
lowest
yeah.
point, and after that you realize this is how to be confident. Yeah.
Your ego is constantly getting checked, and you're really, really bad at first, but then eventually you're not bad. And that's where real confidence in. Competence breeds confidence.
Would you say you're a confident person?
Competence. In things that I'm competent in, yes.
Okay.
When I'm good at something, I'm going to be a little bit more confident in it, obviously. But if it's something that I don't know, then it's just cockiness. If you're not competent, it's not confidence.
Yeah. Okay. Good answer.
Whereas, like, if I'm talking about League, I'm talking about just a lot of topics, I'll be much more confident. Physical things, I kind of feel like I maybe know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, a lot of these religious topics, I'm very much a novice in them. So I am very humble, and I know my place, and all I'm there for is really just to ask questions
And just learn.
and try to understand these things. Yes.
I think that's where a lot of people struggle in life is like I think like the two biggest things that personally my mentor taught me, like when I was working on Wall Street, he taught me to underperform or under promise and over deliver. Always never promise something and under deliver. Always exceed expectations by setting a lower bar. If you think it's going to take you a day, for example, ask for 2 days or a week. Just give yourself time, because you also don't know what the fuck can happen. And if you don't do it within a day, well, there's no upside to it. Two,
Yeah.
he also taught me be the last one to speak at a meeting, if you can. And this isn't always true, but in general, like, just learn everyone's opinions and where they stand on things, and then make your assumptions, or not your assumptions. Then you have the option of making your opinion known, or you could just take in the information and ask more questions. And those two things, just very small things, have like actually helped me so much in terms of my life, and made me it's made me enter a lot more situations more confident in how I'm going to approach a certain situation. Whereas in the past, I think I'd go into a situation with false confidence and kind of get the rug slipped under me, you know?
Yeah, for sure. There's a phrase that he who knows the way broadly sees it in all things.
I love how you have all these phrases. These are great. Wait, can you say that one again?
So he who knows the way broadly sees it in all things.
Broadly sees
is that if you're solid on a philosophical level with everything, is that if you just know, like as an example, if you're in a situation where you just don't know anything, all you have to do is just try to ask the right questions and like figure things out, and you won't really feel like you're out of place or that you don't know what you're talking about. Whereas if you don't know the way, then you won't even know what the right questions to be asking would be.
You would just ask random shit.
Yeah, you're not going to ask things that are very relevant. Whereas I see this as an example with like people who are coaching League. When I'm coaching League, or when I see Max Waldo coaching League, I see the good players ask questions that are much more relevant, or people who could be good players asking questions that are much more relevant into the actual heart of things. Whereas I see people who don't really have their hearts in it and don't really actually care about improving, asking questions that just don't really matter as much. And they don't even know what the right questions to be would ask. They'd ask useless things, whereas like you'll see in Twitch chat oftentimes.
Good old Twitch chat, the promised land of philosophy and answers.
Yeah. You'll see people asking questions like, all right, so this is the best build in high elo, but all right, what's this best build that I can use to fucking win games easily in low elo?
Or when they come with you with some like insane theory crafting where it's like, all right, dude, like The game's been out for 10 years. You don't think someone's tried this and you think it like you know what I mean? Like, or at least like I'm not shitting on theory crafting, but like when they ask like, yo, what if I build AP, lethal tempo, Vayne, and max my condemn?
Yeah,
like no, dude.
It's a very low elo. Like your elo is, to a certain degree, a reflection of how seriously you've been taking the game. Everybody has a sort of range at the elos that they can be in, with the amount of effort that they can put in. And so most people can probably hit Diamond 4.
I agree.
But they just don't actually put in the effort.
I agree.
Whereas, wait, what am I saying? So it's a very low elo thing that I see to try to always think about and talk about random different builds and different cheese ways to win the game, as opposed to thinking about the fundamentals. When I look at questions that high elo people ask, or I look at like what they're actually thinking about, they're thinking about, all right, how do I play this lane state better? How do I play my wave in this situation? What do I do here to get the wave to slow push back to me by the time that I'm actually resetting? Or how do I juggle minion aggro in this specific situation?
Like,
whereas
very non-specific champion things.
Yeah. Whereas the low elo mindset, because it's just a mindset. The low elo mindset has, all right, this AP Rammus build, is this going to be the thing that is going to finally get me to gold after 6 seasons? Whereas, what relevance does that have into actually making you a better player? Like, it's really just trying to find ways of cheesing wins.
Yeah.
And you can extend that out to pretty much everything in life. Whereas, are you asking the right questions, or are you trying to find ways to cheese wins? You see a lot of influencers talking about, all right, this is the way to get rich quick, and this is going to get you all of the money.
Isn't it insane that those are like the videos that get the most clicks?
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, low elo people make up the majority. The average elo, 50% is like silver 2 or something.
Silver 2 and below, yeah.
If you look at things that are sort of appealing to the masses, then you'll have content that is directed at silver 4 people. Like, as an example, you could see this with a platform Reddit, is that it's democracy, it's majority rules, and the majority of people are gold and silver elo and bronze elo at whatever topic at hand. They're the equivalent IRL of a silver player, and those are the people that sort of have the most votes. And if you come into Reddit understanding that this is the majority opinion of silver players, then everything will start to make much more sense. Whereas I look at anything that I have a knowledge and specialty in. Like, if I look at anything about the League Reddit, as an example, people have no idea what they're talking about on there. They're just really bad at pretty much everything. Whereas people who are much more knowledgeable about League probably aren't posting on Reddit. They're generally going to be making their own content.
Yeah.
Because there is some sort of value that they have to offer that people are willing to sort of purchase and buy. What's up, Yuna?
Yeah, I was about to say, did you catch that comment in chat?
Which one?
There was Yuna's comment, and he just put it. I was really tempted. I'm not gonna lie. I was slightly tempted to be like, "Yo, what if you did the Avatar cosplay for the podcast?" I was thinking.
I'd have to shave my head again, which I plan on doing again, but not right now.
Did you shaved your head for like some confidence shit or something, right?
Monk mode.
Was that really what it was? Like, just to go monk mode?
Yes.
And did it work?
Yes. And when I find a new place, I will do it again. Just as sort of a acknowledgement of, this is me committing to change.
Yeah.
And me trying to sort of kill the ego and focus on who I actually am, because hair is a way for you to kind of ignore what you actually look like and try to make it look really nice. Like, some people just dye their hair blonde.
What do you mean?
Like, some
Hair is a great thing. I love hair. What are you talking about?
Is when you shave your head, you're really kind of accepting what you look like, and you're not trying to hide anything. Everything is just something that it's a general concept in life is that the term in Japanese would be uke, which is to receive. And you generally, as a life philosophy, should be taking everything in your life and just saying, I accept this. Yes. This is happening to me. Yes. Like the Chad meme. Yes.
Yes.
You don't complain about your teammates flaming, or you don't complain about them having a lot of issues. You just say, all right, yes, this is the situation that I'm in. I accept this. What can I do from here?
Yeah.
What is my goal? When you're flaming, your goal is to feed your own ego. And if you are conscious about that, of you flaming your teammates is just to feed your own ego, then you're going to be much less likely to do that. Because I notice, at least for me, and this definitely applies to everybody else, is when you flame other people, it's sort of a way to say that, hey, I wasn't the issue this game, you were. It's not my fault that we're losing, it's your fault.
It's like the nuanced
Who's the
communication.
person I can say that this wasn't my fault, it was their fault. Like, I would have won this game if it wasn't for this person. Like, that's generally what almost all flame sort of goes down to. And if you sort of take the monk mode approach, you just accept it. All right, this person is running it down 10-0, their Ghost Cleanse Pike.
And,
all right.
I've seen,
what can I do?
Or my favorite, the mid Tryndamere 010 phase rush, inting running it down because level 1 he had to go do something.
I've hard carried games being 0-10. I'm legitimately 0-10 and I'm winning the game. I'm drawing so much pressure to me. I'm taking inhib, taking turret. I win the game.
I was watching. I just wanted to mention because I think I was watching someone else's stream who was playing against you, and they were like, "This dude is actually." Who was it?
Rupaba?
Maybe it was Rapova. Yeah, I think it was the Rapova game, and they're just like, "Yo, this dude's running it," and I'm like, "Yo, it's Yasukeh."
Yeah, I had something IRL.
I saw. I was watching both streams. I was like, something happened level 1, and it just fucked the whole game over.
Yeah, it's Rupaba is a god tier Yasuo player.
I'm aware, yeah. He's such a nice dude too.
There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do if I get behind.
Super nice dude, by the way. He's actually one of probably. I'm so glad he's getting popular because he's like okay, I'm gonna be honest. Real side tangent. Yasuo community is so garbage. Oh my god. Like, I've never met worse human beings in my life. They are so mean and awful, and like there's this person. They're always gold and have the ego of a god, and I'm just like, bro.
Yeah. So like stereotyping is fairly true, and you can kind of see this in Champions, where the kind of people who say play Yasuo are going to be the edgy 14-year-olds who just they want to think about doing cool things. As opposed to, say, any players, they're taking the lowest skill champion possible, and they're, all right, I'm going to think about the game. Whereas Yasuo players want to think about making the super big highlight plays.
Yeah, can confirm. I used to make montages. What about a Jinx main?
See, like,
feet. They're obsessed with feet, and it's fucking weird.
Which players?
Jinx mains.
Oh yeah, Jinx mains are ultra degenerates.
Awful people.
Like, they're the worst people in the world. Like, I just cannot stand Jinx mains.
Anyways, no, not pointing anyone out. Continue.
They're everything that we are. The opposite of everything that we're talking about. Are Jinx mains.
Cat mains the worst. I don't know. You know, they're okay. They're just shunpoing around, you know, just trying to.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't think there's really.
We were just fucking going on a tangent there. I forgot what our tangent was, but I was just saying I had said something about Yasuo community being shit. I don't know. I don't even remember why. Okay, here's something totally. Okay, unless you want to. Okay, so I have two ways we can go here. I have a topic, or I also asked you what you wanted to talk about. Then we went on a tangent about your name, and then that went on another tangent and another tangent, and now we're here.
Let's go topic. Let's go topics. Things that you are interested in.
Okay, so some people in chat might be, honestly, guys, some of you might be turned off by this conversation, but I actually love having this conversation. As someone who's had a fun time in college. Okay. You said you practice no fap.
Yes.
Why do you do it? I want to hear you. Okay, because I'm gonna come out with my side of it. I do it as well, sometimes. Depends where I'm at in my life, and I always have a reason for doing it. But I think a lot of people are weirded out by it or don't want to talk about it, and I like to talk about things that people don't want to talk about here. And I used to think it was fucking stupid. Then I tried it, and I'm gonna be honest, I think it's something worth talking about. So I'd like to get your opinions on it. If that's okay with you, if that's something you want to talk about. Honestly, I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So it's fundamentally the same thing as eating sugar. There is no benefit to eating sugar. Like, sure, maybe you can not completely destroy your life if you're having it a little bit in moderation, but your life will be as best as possible when you're not having sugar. Taking things that are instant, quick dopamine hits is never healthy for you. It rewires your brain into thinking about how to get rich quick, whereas it feeds into that low elo mindset of, all right, what build is going to help me get the most elo right now? This play session, I want to end this play session 5 games up. How do I do this? As opposed to thinking about more long term. All right, season end is like 4 months away. How do I get the highest rank at the end of the season? There are 2 completely different strategies of doing that. Whereas if you want to get off, finding a girl and getting all of that sort of set up. Whammon. Dealing with whammon is much harder than just pulling up your phone, scrolling through
finding that perfect video.
Finding hundreds of times more titties than your ancestors have ever seen combined in a 5-minute period.
Hey, you don't know my ancestors, man. We got around. We're Italian. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Maybe like 2 people that they've seen, and you see like so many titties, all like you see thousands of titties in 5 minutes, whereas like that's sort of an overload, and it's the same thing with sort of internet addiction or sugar addiction, is that you're taking these sort of dopamine hits and you're getting so many of them so quickly that you're desensitizing your brain to dopamine. And then something that's harder that would have given you a good dopamine hit, like say reading a book and finishing it, is a lot harder because your brain is more used to quick dopamine hits. You sort of get desensitized to that. Whereas like if I'm scrolling through my phone, like, oh, hey, there's a cool post. Oh, hey, there's a cool post. Or I'm scrolling through Instagram. Oh, hey, all right, that's whatever. It's my homie. I don't care. Oh, hey, this is a hot lady. Oh, hey, this is a hot lady. And then just scrolling through that. You just get these super quick dopamine hits that make it harder to actually do useful, productive things, which everything in life that is worth doing is hard. And those hard things...
No pun intended.
Yeah. Those hard things aren't going to be get-rich-quick schemes. Getting better at League isn't something that you can just do in a day. Getting better at League is something that takes months and months of hard effort. And if you're thinking about how can I get my rocks off right now, whereas if you get into a nice, stable relationship with a nice woman, then you'll have access to that as much as you want. But that's a lot harder to get in a nice, stable relationship with a nice woman than pulling up the prawn hub on your phone. And there's just a lot of issues with that. So it's the same thing as not having sugar, not thinking about AP Udyr builds that are going to get you a lot of wins quick.
Is that a shot
not
at
being addicted.
Meta Solar Ray? Is that a shot at our
Yes.
boy?
Yes. So it's not necessarily just no fat.
Okay.
It's an overarching philosophy.
I agree and disagree with some things you said, and this is good because now we can actually have some discussion here. So
yes.
And Cake, that's exactly how I'm gonna probably phrase it. So I don't think it's completely bad. I don't think like when you say as a definitive. So the first, I know you said in moderation, but I want to emphasize I don't think just because if you FAP, it's necessarily bad. I actually think I've done research on it. From what I've found and in my experience, when done correctly, it actually can be healthy for you.
I would argue that if you're doing it, you should not use porn. I think that prawn should never be used ever. And if you want to do it, use your imagination.
So it'll
be harder, but do it that way.
Let me tell you my experience for this because I actually still disagree. If you do it a certain way, but I'm gonna tell you the way I did it. I'm gonna tell you the right ways and the wrong ways and things that worked for me because there was definitely a time in my life where if I was in college, I was just bored and I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. It's just, I'm just gonna go do something because I got nothing else to do. And that was that was a problem. That was the bad way to do it. And I definitely noticed my dopamine levels were not okay. So everything that Yasukeh said, I completely agree with. The only thing I'm going to disagree with him is the fact that I don't think just because you let's say masturbated and it was Pornhub, it's necessarily bad. It's not entirely, the best, but because I guess you can get into the whole objectifying of people thing. But I think there's a good way to do it. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Wrong ways. You're bored. You just go FAP. You have nothing better to do. You're sad. You do it to go to bed. You do it for any other reason that comes from what I call a low vibration energy state, or what Yasukeh likes to call the low elo mindset. What is that? So I talk about low vibration energy a lot, guys. Low vibration energy is things to me that are like just things that aren't good for you or just pull you down, like low energy things that are like empathy, even apathy. No, not empathy. It's apathy, right? What's being really? Apathetic, right? Okay, not empathy. Empathy's good. Apathy, being depressed, like doing things in a very low vibration energy state. High examples of high vibration: giving, love, expansive energy, things that lead to creation. That's high vibration energy, and that's like how I dictate the energies. Energies that take or suck away or deplete you, those are low vibration, essentially.
Creative versus destructive.
Yes, exactly. So, in my experience, what I've done with NoFap is it's given me massive amounts of energy. I will agree with that. That's my favorite thing about it. It's given me a ton of energy. As Cake said in chat here, it's basically a redirection of energy. Honestly, it's allowed me to stream for like 12 hours a day now, sometimes even longer. My average stream time, I think, like this month was probably like somewhere between 8 and 13 hours, like was my average stream.
Which is legit.
Yeah. And then if I'm really like feeling like the crack that day, I'll go 17 hours. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Florida joke.
Okay, Florida man.
Florida man, exactly, yeah. But like that's how I use it. Is like for me it gives me more energy, so I redirect it. However, I've also realized you use it as a reward system. And it could be healthy. Also, if you're doing it out of inspiration and from a place of rewarding and maybe creativeness, I don't think it's bad. And in my experience, that has worked for me. Now, what do I mean by this? Also, what I used to do, before I go into that, another way I used to do it was back in college, I would give myself a week. I lived in Miami, very kind of hoish city. So everyone's looking, okay, I'm going to just say it bluntly. Everyone's looking to fuck. Everyone's looking to have sex. It's just that kind of city. And
it's a lot of easy work.
I wouldn't say easy. It's just people don't want to get tied down for whatever reason because everyone has a lot of options. So people sometimes get a little too stuck up in that, I will say. And I went to the University of Miami, so like it's just the same. The city culture.
I mean, it's taking a city and then it's taking college, which is
and then putting it in said city. Yeah, it's insane. So what I would do is I'd give myself the week. I would give it a week. I'd say, okay, because I noticed whenever I masturbated or fapped, I would make excuses. I wouldn't go up and talk to a said woman that I thought was attractive or somebody I was interested in. I would make an excuse. Oh, I'll talk to them later, or they're not worth it. Or like, I'd make some fucking excuse in my brain that just didn't make sense, but I'd validate it and go through the reasons. When I didn't, I realized like that natural energy would build up, and like, it's like, okay, at some point, like, if you stick to it and you're self-disciplined, like, you're just gonna go talk to the women because you're like, okay, like, I need to get laid because I am horny. And then you also learn to talk to women at that point. And for me, I would basically, what I would do is I'd give myself a week, and then I would force myself to socialize. This is how actually I tell people, if you suck at socializing, stop masturbating. Because one, it will get you energy that you probably don't have, and two, it's gonna motivate you to go talk to people. Because even if your goal at the beginning of it is to, okay, I'm gonna do it to get laid, even if you don't get laid, you're gonna learn so many life lessons along the way, like social skills, how to just genuinely have a conversation with somebody. And that's at least how I learned. I learned a ton of social skills through it. And what I essentially got out of it was that, okay, at the end of the week, if I didn't get laid, okay, well, I rewarded myself at the end of the week by, allowing myself to at least maybe masturbate once, because I had gone out, socialized, and really put a genuine effort into getting, where I wanted to be. And if it didn't happen, it didn't happen, but I allowed myself as a reward to do it. And I found that it was actually like, I found post some FAP sessions, I'd be depressed or just like numb to things when I would do it a lot. And when I do it with a reason of like, okay, this is a reward, I'm using it as a mechanism because I earned this, I felt better. I didn't feel bad about myself, because I know a lot of people that struggle with like, porn addiction, like they they feel terrible about themselves because they just fucking fap so much. I did at some points. And for me, I felt genuinely okay with myself if I used it from a space where it was like, no, I'm rewarding myself. And that's kind of like where I use the dopamine effect of like, you should use the dopamine system in your brain as a mechanism to push yourself to do things. Not for like that quick, easy hit of just feeling good. I agree with you on that. And that's how I apply it to my life. But, I mean, recently, also because of the pandemic, I don't go out anymore. There's been a lot more no fap. And I think, like, it's actually really helped me in terms of, like, my stream. I feel like I'm redirecting that sexual energy. I actually read a great book, The Way of the Superior Man. If anybody wants that, great book for both genders. Way of the Superior Man really helped me out with this. I feel like I'm redirecting that sexual energy and, like, throwing it back into, like, something I care about,
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
like,
sure.
and like that's where like I feel like the definite benefits are. But I do like, I just wanted to throw that, like, I do disagree. Like, I don't think it's terrible. I also know there's like research where it's like, yes, there are health benefits to fucking, like, you get less chance of prostate cancer, I think. And like other,
It's like a 14% relative risk.
yeah, it's like that one's not the biggest one. Like, I will say it's easier to fall asleep. That is definitely one. And the dopamine, I think, can help, but I think you have to do it from a space of inspiration and not where most people are doing it, which is like, I'm bored, or I have time, or I'm depressed. I think it's terrible for you if you do it like that.
Okay, so there's a lot of points to sort of go about this, but the first one that I'll say is that perfect is the enemy of good. The way that a lot of people go about this is the not correct way. It's the furthest thing that we should go from. And nofap is the ideal, but if you're at the point to where you're sort of scheduling it and you're not just doing it because you feel bad, and you're actually kind of having it on a schedule and there's a reason that you're doing it, that is much less detrimental than the standard way of doing it.
Where it's like, I'm just horny and sad. Let me go yoink one out.
Yeah. This is a very similar thing that you see with diet, where people will schedule cheat days, and having a cheat day is not it's not what perfection is, but having a cheat day is much better than kind of cheating whenever you want and not really having a schedule on things. And you're just much more to cheat much more significantly and eat more unhealthy foods if you don't schedule cheat days. But the ideal is to not cheat at all. and just stay on your clean diet and then never get off of it. Whereas it's a very similar thing. It's pretty much the exact same thing. The bad thing is eating unhealthy food / fapping every day.
Every day, every hour, on the hour.
Yes. And the better thing is to schedule your cheat days or fap days. And then the ideal is to not do it at all. To sort of go into your points with, to sort of attack the idea of having cheat days in general, is that one thing is that I find that whenever I have eaten carbs, going back to this, whenever I've eaten carbs, I have much more of a craving for other foods. I'm in the mindset, and then I'll be made to eat like a rice dish or something. And then all of a sudden I'm really craving pizza. And that craving of the pizza is taking away from my thinking going into other directions. Whereas same thing with cheating and same thing with like nofap is that, all right, you do it once, you are somewhat redirecting your mindset into something else where it kind of puts you into a different mode of thinking that sure, it's less harmful than doing it every single day, but it's still not as good as just not doing it. Does that make any sense?
No, that makes sense to me. No, it totally makes sense. I speak for myself and my subjective experience, so like I think everyone might be different in this sense, but that totally makes sense to me, and why I think that is totally a valid point in the sense that like, yeah, like when you cut the mindset for a short period of time, it can lead to directing it to wasted energy, because now it's like a mini relapse, but you're self-disciplined to not do it, but like that's energy wasted on the thinking kind of thing, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, like there's a concept with willpower, is that say like people that report having better willpower have their willpower tested less. Whereas, so how to explain that is
actually,
that
I think you don't. Yeah, I think I kind of understand what you're talking about already, because I actually love the concept of willpower, because it's a thing, and that you have that you have a certain amount of every day, and I feel like people that just have ideals and they let these ideals make decisions for them don't have to waste energy on willpower in their life. Whereas like people that are constantly changing and they're like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. It's like they don't have any direction. Like they're wasting so much taxing energy on things that like don't need it.
Yeah.
Right?
So like say if I have carbs and then I'm driving past a pizza place, and I know this pizza place has great pizza.
You and the pizza. It's Italian.
It takes willpower to not want to go into the pizza place and get pizza. It's an active thing that I have to fight against. Whereas if I didn't cheat and it's just not on my mind at all, I don't think about that place at all. It's not something that even crosses my mind. Like, it's the best way to sort of get over an addiction is to not think about it at all. Like, it's much better to go cold turkey than to be like, all right, I'm gonna have a little bit of crack today.
I mean, I do agree, yeah.
Later.
When it comes to addiction.
Aside from the obvious thing of like physical withdrawals, and like if you quit cold turkey, sometimes you just literally die, because the thing with really everything, drugs, the kind of things that you consume, is that your body tries to maintain a state of normalcy. So if you're constantly, say, having caffeine, your body starts to become used to having that amount of caffeine, and you start getting less effects from it. So what a lot of people do is they'll cycle caffeine to where, all right, they'll have coffee for like a month or two, and then they'll just stop, let their body get used to being normal, and then they'll start on it again.
That's actually what I do.
Yeah.
I don't do months. I'll do like 4 days in a row of coffee, and then once I realize that I need like 2 or 3 cups, I'm like, okay, no coffee for like 3-4 days, and then like next week, like I even try to. I mean, it's easier for me with my like I'm just streaming all day. I try to just plan better sleep times when I'm not drinking coffee, and then when I'm like, okay, I can get back on coffee. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, I totally know what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the best way is just to have your willpower be tested. Where if you say FAP once, then you're gonna have to be thinking about, all right, I can't do this like my next scheduled time, and like, all right, I want to do this right now, but I can't do it until my next scheduled time. Whereas if you don't do it all, then your thought is not on it at all. You're not. It's not even crossing your mind to do it as a concept because it's just such a foreign concept to you that you would have to have a pretty massive mindset shift to get into that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was good. No, I totally know everything. Like, yeah, I agree. I see what you mean by that. I will still disagree on some points, but I think I can meet you like at least halfway on that one for sure.
Well, I mean, it sort of fundamentally comes down to what you're doing is significantly better than
Most majority.
like doing it every day.
Yeah.
And perfect is the enemy of good. As an example, is that I think most people will perform best on a carnivore diet. I don't think that everybody needs to go on a carnivore diet. Most people can be fine on. Some people need to be on it. Some people will be fine on like 90% carnivore or 80% carnivore. Like they can add some carbs, they can have some pizza sometime, they can do all of these other things, and they'll be largely fine. Whereas I find it's a similar situation to this, whereas you won't have as many downsides to doing what you're doing compared to just completely abstaining from it. But it's not the ideal. It's not perfection, but you don't necessarily always need to be chasing perfection in everything that you're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as you're not being actively detrimental to a certain degree, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I can agree to
it's
that.
more
Yeah.
fun.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you. Once you mentioned that basically at the beginning of the show, and I was like, I didn't know this. All right, let's talk about this, because this is like I used to think it was like this weird fucking shit, and then like I actually did it, and I was like, dude, the first time you do it, like, because most people like do relapse. Also, I tell people if you want to get a girlfriend, don't masturbate for 2 months and go out every day, see what happens. And like most people won't do it. Most people won't fucking do it. They won't go out. They just tell me excuses of why they can't do it, and I'm like, bro, like you just don't go out. Like if you want a girlfriend, you need to go meet women, and then you need to not only figure out what women you like and what kind of person you want in your life, you need to then go find that person. And how are you going to do that without meeting other people?
Yeah, like the kind of woman that you find at a bar is going to be much different than the woman you find at a book club.
Well,
or
you'd be surprised. I don't think that's a good generalization, because there's a lot of intelligent women that go to the bar. I've met PhD doctors at a bar. I met women in med school that also go to book clubs at a bar. So I wouldn't make that generalization, to be honest.
It's generally kind of holds true in the sense of like,
no, it doesn't.
The kind of women that you would find at, like, say, church, like your Sunday at church group. That's how a lot of people find their partners. Those
Sunday
kind of
church
women,
group?
they aren't going to be in a club. 1 second.
Go for it. You're good. Chat, I don't agree with him. Aww. What you get? What is that?
Okay, so this is an example of like kind of what I had to deal with in this place is like I'm getting fed food. So it is rice and beef.
And you're not gonna eat. You're not gonna eat any of the rice.
My 5-head way is yes, eating the beef. This is good.
Dude,
so I have this beef.
I would love that rice. Fuck. That's so good though. Beef and rice. Oh, you're such a bitch. See, this is why I can never do carnivore. I'd eat all of that.
Eat the rice.
Yum yum yum.
That is some damn good beef.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, all right.
I'm enjoying that.
We've been going for, what's it been? Hour and a half right now? Yeah. Been roughly for.
Yeah, do you have any other topics that are on your minds?
I got the main ones that I definitely wanted to talk about and some extras, so I'm pretty happy about that. Is there anything that you specifically wanted to talk about now that oh wow, you guys got to see our chat a little bit there. Yikes. I'm just kidding. There's nothing in there. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about specifically before? Yeah, leaked. Nothing was leaked. Shut up. You guys want to see what's leaked? Fucking he sent me a picture of his 356-minute queue. That was what was leaked. Grandmaster, by the way. Yeah, is there anything that you want to specifically talk about or get off your chest or share about yourself that like you maybe haven't? Riot Client, by the way.
That queue got up to like 520 minutes.
I can't believe you sat in that fucking queue.
Nice.
I know you went AFK, but
Other things to do. Yeah.
you just did it for the meme.
I had to be there for the queue pops though. Queues totally popped. I mean, there's kind of topics that I was thinking about of like, all right, this is what I think of Rio, or what Rio is, but I don't know.
I mean,
if it's necessarily worth going into.
If you want to bring it up, I'm all ears. I won't have any rebuttals.
No, it's.
Is this where we just trash me now?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
No? Yes, that's a sarcastic no. God damn, okay.
Yes.
Look, at this point, I let every guest say this. If this is what you want to talk about, go for it. This is why I brought it up. If this is what you want to talk about, we'll talk about it.
I want to.
It's got the shit on me.
Did you have chat up? Don't have chat up.
It's so hard. Okay, I can do this.
Alright,
hold on, chat. He's saying something to me. Hold on.
Is this okay?
Because we just see differently on this.
Yeah. This is something we talked about.
We can talk about this if you want. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a good. Okay, hold on. Let me go to the bathroom before we talk about. Yeah, we've talked about this before. Okay. All right. Yeah. Honestly, if chat saw that, it's not that bad. All right. Yeah, this is fine. Let me go to the bathroom. All right, everybody, take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back.
Yep.
All right, Larry, then take your 3 minutes. By the way, have you guys ever been able to hear the fucking music in the background, by the way? I'm just wondering. Like, very faintly. Has anyone heard any of it? Was it a good idea? Can we put the Riot Client team on a carnivore diet? True. Maybe that would help. Alright, that's fine. I kind of want it, like, heavily in the background. So it doesn't matter if you can't hear it. You're still here, so it seems like we don't need music. How you guys doing? I hope you guys like this. I know some of you guys are new. I do I do roughly, I'm trying to aim for like 1 or 2 podcasts a month. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Did the stream just freeze? Hold up. This shit just died.
You're good on my end.
Can you guys see anything? Is it good? Let me try this. Hold on. Let me call you back. All right, let's try this again. All right, let's see if this worked. All right, cool. We're back. All right. Welcome back. All right, so Mister, since you want to talk about this, why don't you start us off?
Okay, Rio is a terrible human being.
Oh my God.
This is the topic. Can I get a yep in chat?
Go for it.
Yep. Any
yep,
truers in chat?
Any yep cockers?
Yeah. So, the main sort of topic is, I don't think that. What's the best way of going about this? Generally, all of my thoughts are sort of going into what has historically worked and what generally works best for both the individual and society. As an example, carnivore diet, it makes a lot of sense from an evolutionary standpoint. People do really well on it. It succeeds at its job. Having a community is something that succeeds at its job. And one thing that I don't think is very a big issue that I see in sort of today's society that I think is not very fair is hookup culture. And I don't think that it's necessarily very fair to women at all to participate in it. If you look at, there's a lot of sort of science behind it, but just as an example, like the more partners that a woman has before marriage directly makes it to where they're more likely to get divorced in their first marriage. It really kind of destroys women's ability to pair bond when generally women get emotionally attached to you when you hook up with them, and it
I think that's
destroys their ability to have healthier relationships when you break that off. There's like an emotional connection of like, say, a mother abandoning her baby. There's a term for this, like fetal abandonment syndrome, where if a mother like just leaves her child for even 20 hours a week, the child experiences the same symptoms as just complete maternal abandonment, where it just completely destroys their brain chemistry, and they have less gray matter in their brain. Like their brains aren't able to fully develop. I'm not calling women babies, but the same concept of sort of pair bonding is something that you see in every animal. And some animals are more so pair bonding than others. But if you destroy the pair bond, then it makes it harder to pair bond later. And hookup culture is something that directly sort of feeds into that and makes it much harder for people to have happy, healthy relationships, especially when you see kind of the culture in college and places like that where you're sort of incentivized and told to just like, all right, college is your time to go experiment and hook up with a new person every weekend and just kind of mess with like 50 women a year, 100 women a year.
That's it?
And I know that Rio defends it and like kind of has taken place in that culture before. Whereas I don't think that it's good for the individual, like the man doing it. Like if I were to do it, I don't think it would be healthy for me. But it's also not fair to the women that you're hooking up with.
I think that's a generalization. I've seen men destroyed on it. I think it can go both ways. First off,
no, so it is bad for men. It is.
Have you
100%.
seen some men destroyed by some women, bro? I have seen it happen on both ends. Okay, so I'm gonna just say this.
I don't think it's good for men or women.
We disagree wholeheartedly on this topic. There is not one aspect of this that I think we fucking see eye to eye. I mean, I see eye to eye on his points. I just think he's generalizing certain genders that apply to both. I don't think either gender is excluded from this. Do you know Mr. Jimmy OG?
I don't think either benefit from it, but it's worse for women. It's bad for both. It's worse for women.
I mean, I think. Okay, you know what? I can agree to that to some extent. I think men have to deal with a ton of terrible shit, but women also have worse shit to deal with when it goes bad. But the thing is, that's when it goes bad. I think most people okay. I think a lot of the things I do, I've found a system that maybe just works for me. Because I don't think hookup culture is necessarily bad. Ooh woo. I don't think personally I don't think it's bad. I think it's perfectly fine if done correctly. I think I just can't I've told you guys my personal experience with this. Like I've had fun in college. Yes, I've been a part of hookup culture. Yes, I do think there are bad aspects of it. But I think when done correctly, it is actually totally healthy and totally fine. I've learned who I was as a person going through this. It's taught me how to deal with rejections, which is something that really helped me build confidence. I've met some of my best friends that I've hooked up with that are women who I still talk to this day. And were probably my outlets of things I wanted to talk to because I just always loved talking to women a little bit more about certain things. I stayed friends with certain women that I've hooked up with. And then we've supported each other when we each got into other relationships. But we were never mutually exclusive. I think it's bad the majority of the way people do it. I'll agree with you on that. The majority does it wrong. The way I do it is I am completely bold and fucking honest up front. I've told you this. The way I do it, the healthy way, is there are no expectations. I mean, obviously, there will always be some strings attached because of, whatever you call it, pair bonding, whatever you want to call it, just the chemistry that happens when you go through the physical act. But there have definitely been ones where it was completely fine on both ends, and like I said, we stayed friends afterwards. There's been many times as a guy when I asked the girl if they wanted, or the women, the women, if they wanted to go on a date maybe the next day just to get some lunch, not trying to wife them up or anything, just generally I like to go out on dates and I pay for the meal and just have someone to talk to. They thought I was trying to wife them up and they would get scared and ghost me, and then I'd find out months later when we met up again, they would tell me oh yeah, sorry about that, and I'd just be like, yeah, that's just what I do. Sorry, I enjoy getting lunch with people. I wasn't trying to be serious. So I think a lot of guys do also get their feelings hurt in that aspect. I don't think women are the only ones.
There's a book, Never Eat Lunch Alone.
There's a what?
Book called Never Eat Lunch Alone.
Never Eat Lunch Alone. I should read that. I would probably like that.
Yeah. Just a guide to understanding social things and becoming better in that aspect.
Personally, I don't think hookup culture is a bad thing. I think there's a right way and a wrong thing to do everything, and I don't think if you do it the right way, it's a bad thing. I also think it's really incredibly dumb to. I think it just depends on who you are as a person, and that's why I'm not going to generalize this. I really don't think it's for everybody. I think it is for some people. Some people genuinely just don't want to be in relationships and they just want to have fun. I know that for a fact. Men and women. And that's why I think hookup culture is okay, because that's for them. I don't think we should have a pressure to be in hookup culture because I don't think it's for everybody. Personally, I don't think I would get into a relationship with somebody, a committed relationship, without first, having sex with them. That's just me. I couldn't. Would I be attracted to them without it? Yes. Could I talk to them and be more attracted to them and maybe potentially want to be yo, this could be my girlfriend? Yes. Because you can get better at sex. It's not, you can teach people what you like. And like that's what partners do when you're in a committed relationship. You talk to each other on that level. But yeah, I disagree. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's for everybody, but I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. And I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. That's all I got. I mean, my 2 cents on it. Like,
Okay,
I'm not going too in depth in it. I don't know the statistics of it. This is all my subjective experience. I've never done research on it. This is just coming from me as a person, and it's improved my life for sure. So I will probably defend it because it's only helped me.
Yeah. So, like, best way, like, I don't know. So, not necessarily wanting kind of relationships is really, really hard as a if you're getting into old age without a family, it's really lonely. All of your friends, like, they either get families or they die, and you can't live the same life that you did when you're 20 when you're 40 or 50. If you don't have a family when you get older, then people just become crazy cat ladies and don't really have any meaning in their life. Like, that's a very big sort of stereotype of the stereotype is there because it's kind of true, is that if you're not having a family, you're generally going to be really unhappy into old age. And the sort of numbers kind of back that up in the sense of women are more unhappy today than they ever have been, like, in all of history that we know of. Like, the concept of not having a sort of stable relationship and a stable family that values you is something that has really not been beneficial to women. As an example, like, this is one kind of thing that you see as a meme with more like feminist type thinking, is that society doesn't value older women, but that's not true at all. They're not going to be valued for their sexuality and their sexual nature, but women, older women, are very, very valued, like, as mothers in a family, like being a sort of a protective caretaker in that sense. Whereas if you are an older woman who doesn't have a family, there isn't really much like value to you. People don't value older women without families in the same way that people don't value 18-year-old guys who haven't done anything with their lives. Like, nobody cares about you when you're 18 and you haven't done anything. Your job is to do something. But the difference with that is that when you're an 18-year-old guy, you still have the potential to do something. But if you're 40 years old and you don't have a family, like, you don't really have a chance to redeem yourself. You don't have the option of actually getting a family. What's up?
I wouldn't say there's no chance of redeeming yourself. Also, I think
we're... I mean, in the sense of, like...
I think traditionally, I disagree with this too, because I think traditionally, I don't think... We're actually, I think, heading into an era where more people are less likely to get married. I actually don't
and
really
I would say
I'm going to get married. I don't think marriage is like a good way to show people that you quote unquote love them. I think the system is fucked up in the terms of, like, that we need to marry somebody.
No. I don't like religion, or I don't like marriage at all in a legal sense. But the entire concept of marriage from a sort of evolutionary
can we use not marriage, maybe like monogamous relationship? Then is that more so what you're talking about? Because, like, I don't believe in like, I think, yes, like, I would like to have kids maybe one day with and have one woman. Do I want to have this legal marriage bond behind it? I don't think so.
I don't agree.
But
with
I would like to be in a
monogamous,
I think hookup culture is amazing. But what's more amazing is a monogamous relationship, because I've done both. And I do agree. Like, the point of hookup culture is to get to the point of hookup culture to me is to get to the best possible monogamous relationship that you can get into, because I see too many people think they're fall in love with this one girl because they get along so well at first, and then they had sex with her, and oh my god, it's amazing. And then, like, it's the only person they've had sex with, so it's all their validation. They think they fallen in love with them. And this goes for women too. It happens both ways. And then the honeymoon phase wears out, and they realize like, fuck, this isn't the person I want to be with because I've truly learned everything about them as I've been with them over time, and this isn't working out. But you're too afraid to leave it.
First.
I mean, not all the time. No, I've seen people chase women for like 6 months, you know, just talking to them, and then they still get their heart broken.
Yeah.
Like I see it as a way as like, okay, when you have sex with somebody, you completely get rid of the social mask and you get to really know somebody. And that's why I think sometimes the best relationships can come from hookup culture. I also think really bad relationships can come from hookup culture. But the way I do it, and from my subjective experience, is I try to find people that fit in my life. And I try to find people that I've learned, basically, what I'm trying to say is I've learned what I like and what I don't like in people through hookup culture and what I would like in my future partner. And I do hookup culture. There's one night stands, and usually it's them not texting me back for whatever reason, in my experience. And then I do flings where I've been like monogamous with some girl for maybe like a month or two, and then like it just doesn't work out, but we never made it like official, and then like it just branches out from there. Like I do it like there's stages to dating for me, and like I go in depth with it, but that's how I do it. I think there's a ton of ways to do it, but personally, I think to get into a good relationship, and this isn't for everybody, but for me, for sure, I need to go hoe out a little bit and meet a lot of people to then be able to be like, okay, I have all, like, I use the flower, like, you know, have you ever heard the king, like the king and his little flower, some shit? Essentially, there's a story about like this king, he has this, or an alien, he has this flower and he loves it. Then he discovers Earth and there's millions of flowers. And he's like, oh my god, there's all these flowers, mine isn't so special anymore. But then he realizes, no, I choose to love this flower, and that's what makes it special to me. So for me, one of the things that I like to do is like, I like to date a couple people at the same time, openly let them know, like, I'm dating openly. You know, I'm honest. I'm not like, oh yeah, behind their back. Like, they know I'm dating around. And then and when I say dating, it's like we go on a date here or there, we're talking, like, but it's not, you know, serious. Some things happen, sometimes things don't. And from there, I like to, like, I'm like, no, I want to hang out with this one girl because I have all of these options, but to me, this is the one that, like, truly, like, stands out, and I really like her. And, like, it makes me, you know, understand. It's like another affirmation for me that, okay, this is a good potential partner for me. Is kind of how I go about it. That's just me. It's just me. But yeah, I still disagree. But like, I will meet you halfway in that. I don't think it's for everyone. I really don't. I think a lot of people will get their fucking hearts broken. I think a lot of people don't know how to do it. I think a lot of people go in with the wrong mindset. And it's okay. But I also think when you're just in a major city, I think people think they have too many options. So the culture just naturally takes over. And they think they're like, especially when you're in your 20s, like no one's trying to get, like, oh my god, everyone's having fun. And then you're in this relationship and the relationship eventually does lose its spark. But that's like why I think I don't think it's good to get in a, for me at least, I'm not going to get in a relationship for a couple more years, a serious one, because I won't date anyone seriously until they're in their late 20s to 30s, I think. And for me, I think that's because of where people are in their lives in their early 20s. You change too much, and in major cities, I've seen a lot of relationships lose their spark because you after the honeymoon phase, you have too much like flair. There's too much. You see people having fun, and it's like whatever, you know.
Okay. Okay.
I know that was a little all over the place, but
yeah, no. There's a lot of points to go over, so we'll just go over like what I remember. So, marriage as a concept, from where it originally spawned before it became like this legal like bullshit entity.
This legal bullshit, yeah.
Yeah. The entire purpose of marriage was to sort of be like, hey, me and this, it's a public declaration to your community that me and this person are gonna stick together for life and for the purpose of the kids. Like, we're gonna stick together and we're gonna make sure that these kids are like raised in a 2-parent household. And like, nobody really cares when a couple without kids gets divorced. Nobody gives a fuck. But if there's kids in the situation, that's when it sort of becomes like an issue. Which is why like the first original concept of marriage is to stick together for the purpose of the children, and not whatever the legal sense of it is.
I can agree to that. I think divorces fuck up kids, especially at a young age. I think the older you get, the less it's impactful, especially when like you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can agree with you on that. Like, divorces suck,
and
especially if you're young.
Yeah,
I think
of, like,
I'm fortunate enough to have such parents that like really do love each other. And then living in the city, and going through the terrible breakup that I did at the time in college, like I think the only reason I even believe in the concept of love is because I had like parents that I do, and then have to, and like, I live with them right now, so.
Yeah, and to go to this sort of point that you said of like, basically you need to fuck somebody to really know if you love them. It's kind of what you were saying, is that like sex is such a very small portion of a relationship, whereas
can I rephrase
to
it
have
then?
somebody that you're going to be in a healthy what's up?
Can I rephrase it then? It's not that you need to fuck someone to know that you love them. It's sex is important for me as a person, that for my partner, I need to have good sex. I can love somebody. I love my parents. I love my sister. I love my family. I love my friends. There's different forms of love. I can still love somebody, but for my partner, I could still love them. I probably could, because I especially what my last shut up, Richie. What my last partner, not my last partner, but one of the last people that I was like having a fling with, helped me learn was like, okay, sex used to be super. I would say, how about this, Yasukeh? A year and a half ago, I would say, yeah, you were right. How I used to think. Now, how I think is that yes, I still need to have somebody who like wants to have sex, but I love my viewers too. But it's not that I can love somebody without having sex with them, for sure. However, for somebody that is my partner, I personally, because of who I am and how important good sex is to me in a bonding with somebody, I want to have sex. That's just me. But like, I don't want to say it like that. Like, I can't love somebody without having sex with them.
So I can't necessarily say this from experience, but I would imagine, and it makes a lot of sense, that having sex with somebody that you care about, like on levels outside of sex, like you genuinely love them, bro, for the person that they are outside of sex, will make the sex better.
Yes, 100%.
Like the sex is just 100%. Inherently
100%. 100%. Yeah. Like, you ask anybody that question, they'll say yes. To anybody who's experienced that. Yeah. No, yes.
Yeah.
And the only way I can say that is like, because I thought I truly loved this person and it was amazing, but I've also redefined my version of love since then. Yeah. Where it's like, if you have to try to figure out, that's making love, bro. That's not having sex. That's making love.
The difference is that if you take it from the mindset of, I am going to figure out whether or not this is a good person without having sex with them, then the only people that you are like, your sort of criteria is going to be all based around who they are as a person, and then the sex like will just naturally be good because you care about everything about who they are as a person. Whereas if you skip that step and just go straight into the fucking, then you're thinking about who, like, how good they are at sex as opposed to how good they are as a person. Because somebody could be great at the sexing, but not so great as a person, or they're just okay as a person. But when you're looking for a relationship, you're not looking for somebody who's okay as a person.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're not, when you have sex with somebody, that becomes one of the criteria that you're thinking about. But for a healthy relationship, you like should be thinking about all of the things that are not sex.
Well, the thing is, the reason I enjoy hookup culture is because I think a lot of people get into a relationship based off of validation, and they start getting validation from somebody, and they misinterpret that as feelings and them enjoying a person. And that's really where I think hookup culture is. I'm not saying hookup culture is you decide who you want as a partner because of all the sex you're having. The main thing for me that hookup culture does is it takes out the fog of what validation is, because humans crave validation. It's this drug that we can't get enough of. And a lot of people, and this is what I've told you before, I see too many people get into relationships with somebody that just validates them. And then, and I can tell this a lot of, and this is strictly for men. I don't know about women. I'm not going to say this for women because I don't know. There is something powerful about talking to multiple women at a time. I've definitely thought I liked some girl or some woman at some time, and she didn't answer me. She didn't text me back right away. So now I'm being like a needy bitch, like waiting for her to text me back. But when I was talking to multiple people at the time, I had my validation spread out, and I realized that I didn't actually like her for what I thought I liked her for. These feelings were coming from a lack of validation that I was receiving from said person. So what I think hookup culture does, or at least having a lot of people that you could spread your validation over, maybe it's not even through hookup culture, you just have a lot of women friends that you get that feminine energy from, is I believe it removes the fog of what validation is, and it allows you to see clearly who the person is in front of you without realizing that you're playing this game and the validation of you need this person or something. And that's where I think, maybe that's where I should have phrased it better, where I think it comes from, is like, that's what I like to focus on, is like, okay, I know I'm not needing her validation because I have validation from a lot of people. I actually genuinely want to hang out with this person. Because when I first started dating, I think I craved a lot of people's validation when I thought I liked them, when in reality it wasn't really I liked them. I was just, I needed validation. And I'm sure there was some part of me that liked them, you know, but I think you need to separate the two. And I think a lot of people fall into a trap of where they just need the validation and then they get sucked into it. That's kind of where I wanted to go with that, I guess.
Okay. The thing is that when you're
also,
spreading
we good to end in like 5-10 minutes, by the way?
Yeah, you get.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Look, you and me could talk about this fucking topic forever. I know we could.
The problem is that your mom drank your wine, and so now you don't have any alcohol in your system. That's the problem.
Alcohol actually would have made me sleepy.
That's fair.
I just promised people I'd do something after this. That's all I know.
Okay, that's fair. So the thing is that like when you're spreading yourself so thin, you're just naturally in sort of like a less discriminatory mindset. Mm-hmm. Whereas like when you're looking for a partner, you want to be as discriminatory as possible. Whereas like say if you're on a dating app and you're just kind of swiping through everything, you put a little bit less effort into just everybody because it's not the same effort as putting it into one person. So when you're in the mindset of I'm looking for a long-term relationship and a long-term partner, you're going to be much more naturally discriminatory, and it's going to be easier to sort of find this one person. And when you do find this one person, you're going to put full effort into them. Whereas if you're trying to spread it out a little bit more, you might find the right person and then mess it up and not really be in the whole mindset of you're in the mindset of all of these multiple relationships as opposed to trying to find a long-term stable relationship, which is generally where most people, men and women, are happier. Most men and women who are in long-term relationships are more happy than people who are in sort of like hookup culture and in that kind of stuff. Like it's a very similar thing to eating sugary foods or like beating the monkey. It's the short-term validation and the short-term dopamine hit compared to the long-term like thing that will be harder to maintain.
Yeah.
But makes you happier in the end.
The thing is, I feel like you just look at this at two, and this is my opinion. I'm not attacking you, Yasukeh. I think you look at this too logically, because everything you're saying makes so much sense, and I would agree with you. But it's not it's like it doesn't practically come down to that, because there's this whole thing about like when you put your emotions into somebody, sometimes they will get this feeling of you're being needy for them, and then and that's the whole part of dating is like I think look, if it could work this way, yes, I think you're right, but I don't think the way society is shaped right now, it's like you have to be able to play the game, because eventually your social mask comes off, and like it doesn't matter. Like there's just been too many times where if I could just walk up to somebody and like have a conversation with them and tell them who I am and all this stuff, and they give a shit, then like yeah, it'd be great. But like some women as a man won't even pay attention to you if they don't even see if you're not radiating this confidence that also comes with like the fact that you just talked to like 4 other girls at the club, you know. And I mean, obviously, I guess that depends where you're like you said, I guess where you're searching for your partner. But in my experience, and what I've talked to women about is like it just doesn't practically work out like how perfectly as it should and logically as it should, because it's just not something that's logical, I think, in actual practice.
The thing about that is that 99.99% of human history has worked like this. It's really just the past 50 years that works the way it does now.
The Romans and Genghis Khan beg to differ. Someone said that in chat earlier.
Romans...
Someone said that in chat earlier. I just wanted to quote them. Shady L, that was for you.
That's right. So, like, with the Romans,
just raped people. That wasn't good.
Their society also collapsed.
Yeah, but they lasted longer than any other society.
Well, their society was a little bit more sort of traditional, and when it
let's not go into that. Let's not go into that. That's gonna we can go into that for a while.
Yeah. So like, basically, in the time that they started to have more like hookup culture and stuff, that's when society kind of like fell down and broke apart. Whereas like, just naturally as a society, to propagate itself and last for a long term, you would expect a birth rate of 2.1. So for every...
Now we're bringing in the fucking numbers, Jesus.
Yeah, so I mean, so like over 2, which is over replacement rate.
Yeah.
Because for every like pair that you have, you should have 2.1 kids. Otherwise, in a couple generations, there'll just be no more people because nobody's having kids. Which right now, the like replacement rate or the birth rate in the US is like 0.71 or something. So like in a couple generations, our current society doesn't exist. And so that's where the kind of issue comes from with like hookup culture, and this kind of similar thing is that it's kind of a self-solving problem, in the sense of hookup culture destroys your society.
Fuck yeah, burn it all down. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
People riot. Fucking burn it all down. You know what? I support it. Burn it to the ground.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas like you look at right now, people who are monogamous and in like people who are monogamous and religious are the people that are having all of the kids. Whereas people who are like the people who are in like super hyper liberal cities and go to college and are very educated and all of that stuff, they're having no kids. Like those people don't have any kids. And so they're sort of, that kind of way of life will eventually just stop existing because there are no more kids to propagate that in 100 years. Whereas the sort of religious people who are in monogamous relationships do have kids, and their way of life will propagate.
Prosper.
Yeah, so it's just the idea of hookup culture is not only bad for the individual, but it's also bad on a societal level because it just kind of destroys the society. It doesn't exist anymore if there are no more people to exist in 50 years.
But now you're just arguing that like everybody in hookup culture is not ever going to get into monogamous relationships. Like the point of hookup culture is like, to find a monogamous relationship.
Like the numbers are just pretty like
fuck
solid
the
on
numbers,
this.
Man. I mean,
I'm
from objective experience, this is just not how I see it. And maybe it's just because I do it, like I said, I do it differently.
I mean, people who are in hookup culture, on average, have significantly less kids.
But
like,
maybe
they're less likely.
What if you don't want kids?
Then you're.
What if I don't want kids?
You won't pass down your ideals, and then your ideals
what
just
if I could pass my ideals down through my Twitch channel to someone else's kids?
It's generally just not as strong. it's
All right.
completely different to like trying to influence somebody like when they're an adult compared to making your own kid who you control everything that they do for like 18 years.
All right. To be fair,
Your ideals don't get passed on
I
as well.
totally see what you're saying. I just going back to the original thing. I just we see this differently. However, I think we gave good points for both sides. And I'm actually glad we did talk about that again because I know we completely see this differently.
Yeah.
And,
So I want to bring up something that we actually disagree on.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
I haven't had a disagreement discussion as much on this show as I think I should, and I need more of that. So that was good. I am going to wrap it up here, though, because I did promise some people I was going to do something with them after this. However, we had a nice, 2-hour and like 10-minute conversation, something like that. That was good.
Yes.
That was good. All right, fuck yeah. That was 2.5 hours. That was almost 2.5 hours. What the fuck?
Thank you guys all for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. If you want to throw your socials, I mean, they're literally right below his name over there. You guys can see it. Go follow Yasukeh. Oh, you want to join us then? You want to play some Flex Cube?
I would rather no. I don't
Manko's
wanna
asking.
think about me right now.
I don't want to think about leaving.
Yeah. Okay, because it's Manko.
You can
I'll
that's the team right there if you want to join us. Is anybody fucking Manko, is anybody streaming it? I can, if Paz is streaming, I can rate him. I was thinking about rating someone we were gonna play Flex with. That's so funny if you come play with us. Fuck yeah. Okay. Anyways, guys, go follow his socials. Those are right there. He's actually an insane fucking Tryndamere player. If you're wondering what his real content is, but he's a league streamer like me. Go follow him. He's fucking awesome. Great dude. I'm actually so happy. I told him we were gonna do this podcast like 6 months ago. We finally did it. Woo! We finally did it.
I was ghosting you. I thought I was ghosting.
Dude, literally, I messaged him a date. He didn't answer me. He's like, bro, when are we doing this podcast? I'm like, I literally asked you a month ago if you wanted to fucking do it on this date, and you never answered me. And then we just realized we're ghosting each other by accident. So,
yeah.
So, yeah,
so I'm going to do my YouTube outro.
Go for it.
Thank you guys all for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Good night.
That awkward moment when it actually doesn't end. Okay.
Awkward. Yeah. It's supposed to end on the fist. So just when you make it for YouTube, just cut it at that point.
Just cut it right there. Good. True. I can. Wait, true. Because this is good. Oh yeah, guys, if you want to see this episode, it's gonna go on YouTube. I'll upload it later. All right, Manko, I don't see Pause streaming, so I'm going to assume that nobody's streaming, and I'll probably just host somebody else then.
Streaming. Who would stream? Streaming is weird, champ.
Am I on Rio Facer? I will be logging on Rio Facer in a moment, yes. Let me just end this stream.
A second.
All right, cool. I'm gonna end the call, and then I guess I'll see you in League.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks, brother. Appreciate you.